Hello and welcome to A Book in 5 Minutes. I'm Lindsay Milner. This week the book is called The Myth of Normal and it's written by Dr. Gabor Maté with his son Daniel Maté, and it is subtitled Illness, Health and Healing in a Toxic Culture. So this book is written in 5 parts. As you can see, it's actually quite a chunky read. It's about 500 pages, I think. The first part, he talks about the connection between mind and body, but he takes it a little bit wider than that as well, and talks about how we as individuals are connected to everything, the world, nature, the environment. The second part of the book, he focuses on human development and how that has become distorted, the problems that we have in childhood trauma, and he means not just major traumas like parental separation or parental abuse or neglect, not just those major problems, but also how most of us are dealing with some type of smaller trauma, those kind of offhand comments that your parents might make or a teacher might make about, oh, you're useless at drawing, or you'll never be a good singer, you'll never amount to anything, or just even an offhand comment about how something that you've done is particularly stupid. And we all do stupid things, but if that's conveyed to us in a way that makes us feel that we're the ones who are stupid, how we internalise that, how we take that on board as children, and believe it to be true about ourselves. And he points out that most of us, if not all of us, have got something like that we're dealing with. The third part is about rethinking what do we mean by normal and what do we mean by abnormal. He says that what seems like afflictions, whether that's illness or addiction or poor behaviour in some way, is usually a coping mechanism. It's an adaptation that we make. It's a way that we behave to deal with what's happened to us, to protect ourselves from what's happened to us. The fourth part, he takes the whole thing into a wider arena and talks about the culture, the sort of class, poverty, race divisions, sexism that we have to deal with. Instead of blaming individual failings on those individuals, he looks at that cultural, the cultural systemic problems and the political ideologies that cause those problems, rather than it being all on the individual. And then the fifth part of the book is how to heal, and the key thing here is compassion, talking about self-compassion but also compassion for others. He talks about different types of compassion and self-acceptance. He said that we need to listen to what our body is telling us, because often when we have illnesses or aches and pains, why do we have those? What's our body telling us about things that we're not facing in our mental state? He also touches on, there's a whole chapter on psychedelic experiences and how they can help you to come to terms with past trauma. I found that chapter a little bit off the wall for me personally. I'm not sure that that's something I'd want to investigate or get into, but he does talk about how helpful that can be. And he also says that we need to be in nature. We need to sort of create that sort of oneness with nature. So again, that's in a wider environmental aspect, but also just being in nature ourselves, spending time in the countryside, spending time by the sea, on the coast. So I found the book an easy, I kind of didn't really want to put it down. He uses lots of stories, which I think is what helps to make it engaging. He uses lots of examples of people who have had really quite serious illness or trauma, and how they've overcome the problems that that's caused. There's a lot of information in there about the toxicity of the way we're living our lives today. One drawback I think is I don't think he really addressed people who, there weren't any answers for people who feel trapped in that lifestyle. If you're working long hours in order to make a living, how do you get out of that situation without it affecting your quality of life? I felt like he was criticising the way we're living our lives, but not a great deal about how to properly get out of that situation. What I did like about it though is that he doesn't place the blame on the individuals. He doesn't make it that, if you're living in poverty, it's your own fault, you should get a better job. Which, unfortunately we do have quite a lot of that political ideology telling us that. So I liked that he didn't take that route. Should you read this book? I think if you are interested in improving your well-being, whether that's your physical or mental well-being, then yes, this is really, really worth a read. And as I say, I felt like I didn't want to put it down. I thought it was a really engaging and compelling argument for the problems that we're living with. He does say that we can learn from our past, and I like an example that he gave about a former addict who was told to view his past behaviour, his addictive behaviour, instead of viewing it as, well, I wasted my life, I wasted years of my life in that behaviour. View that instead as, well, this is something that you can learn from. This is kind of your elders, as we don't so much now live with within a community of elders, with people who can help us and support us and help us to grow. So I did really like that part of the book. That is this week's book. It is called The Myth of Normal by Dr. Gabor Maté with Daniel Maté. Illness, Health and Healing in a Toxic Culture. If you've read it, let me know, what do you think of it? If you haven't, would you be interested in taking a look at it? Let me know your thoughts. Please do give this video a like, and if you want more material like this, then please subscribe to the channel. I will see you next time. Bye!